Yeah. Pussy in no face with style and grace. A wreck where he direct got flair and taste. Holds no drop crowd when he in the mix. In a throwback jersey and custom kicks.
All right. I haven't done podcast in a couple of weeks. It's just been pretty busy the last couple of weeks. Once the quarantine for production was lifted, we've been shooting, creating some really cool stuff. But I wanted to do a podcast before I head out to Vegas tomorrow. I wanted to do a podcast about branding because I've had a handful of people reach out to me asking some advice on branding. Some people wanted my help in branding because some people, I guess, listened to the podcast I did with Christy Mack where she thanked me for and gave me credit for helping her brand herself and get her clothing line off the ground and things like that. So if you want to hear that podcast, just check out the podcast with Christy Mack. That's a couple of podcasts ago. It might have been the podcast right before this one. So I wanted to do this podcast about branding and just kind of share my experience and what I've done to build up my brand in mainstream horror as well as the adult industry as a director. So I guess I'll go back to when my filmmaking partners and I started doing horror films. So one of the ones that was the most successful one that we did was called Y2K Shutdown Detected. And this one was done before the year 2000 because, you know, the whole crazy year 2000, all the computers are going to reset themselves and the world will end. So we did a zombie movie. We shot on 16 millimeter. I was the director of photography and co-director with two of my filmmaking partners. And the whole process took us about 2.5 years because we shot on film. We had a lot of effects. It was an extensive process. We had zombie makeup, all kinds of stuff. Anyways, once the movie was done, I took it upon myself to build the brand of this movie and promote it. So I sent out about 50 copies of the movie to different magazines and reviewers and other filmmakers. The whole point was to get it out there. I mean, mind you, this was 1999, 2000, so 20 years ago. There was no social media. There was really no email, no YouTube, so you're not like streaming your films for anybody. You're literally sending VHS copies. So I designed a box cover. I sent out, I made a press packet and sent a bunch of these copies of the movie out with a poster, with I did like a flyer with a graphic and things like that. And the movie did great. We got a write-up in Rugemorg magazine, Fangoria, Fangoria magazine does this thing called Weekend of Horrors, where they actually screened our movie. We did. We had a booth for it. We really went after it. I actually wound up giving a few copies of the movie with a self-addressed stamped envelope to big-time horror filmmakers, and one of them was John Landis. The cool thing with John Landis was a few weeks after I gave him the copy of the movie, he sent the movie back with a little letter thanking me for letting his business partner and him watch our movie. And I was thrilled. I mean, he sends a handwritten letter back, you know, so I sent him a letter back thanking him and appreciating, you know, him taking the time to watch our film. Then I also asked for a quote for the movie, for the box cover. Literally a week or two later, I get a postcard with Alfred Hitchcock on it. And on the back it says, in quotes, Y2K and zombies, what could be better? Signed, John Landis. Fuck yeah, man. This is persistence. Sending out 50 copies of the movie, working your ass off on the project that you love, and then having that result. I mean, as a filmmaker, as a horror filmmaker, I was done. I mean, John Landis did my favorite horror movie of all time, American Werewolf in London. So that was, for me, it was like this light at the end of the tunnel was just like, I'm there. I'm at the light. Plus all these magazines did all these write-ups on the movie. And we were kind of like doing really well back then as indie horror filmmakers. People knew us. We were on different, there weren't message boards back then. There were more like Yahoo groups and things like that. So that's where I first really got my bug into branding. I was also a Dolly Grip at the time. I was working in I guess like lower end of Hollywood, independent films and low budget films and things like that, and TV shows. And I was a dolly grip. I was hired by a lot of people. I was really good at my job. So with my real name being Slava, I decided to make business cards that said Slavador Dali, because I'm an artist behind the dolly, Slavador Dali. And it was catchy, and to me it was just like, it's all about branding. You brand yourself, you know what you're doing, you're good at it, and you fucking throw it in people's faces. Not in a bad way, but in a confident way. I'll give you an example. Once I got into adult, my favorite director, the one director that I truly love as a brother, Ricky D, he had this motto, and he always said, you walk in the room with confidence. You walk in the loudest because you're confident in your work. And when people go, who the fuck is that? Then somebody else will go like, that's that motherfucker who knows what he's doing. So to me, it was always like, okay, he's got it down. He even had bumper stickers made that said, Ricky D is better than your favorite director. And he would, like literally at conventions, he would walk by every booth, every company booth, and stick them on their booths. And he's like, fuck them, man. Like, I'm confident in what I do. I'm good at it. And people need to know. And I'm going to throw it in people's faces, because we work with a bunch of hacks. And I'm not a hack. I give a shit about my craft. And here you go. And that's how it should be. When you care about your brand, when you care about your product, it's not a job. It's an investment into yourself. Whether you make a ton of money with it or you make very little money with it, it's the building of your brand, building of yourself, building of that confidence of yourself is so important. That's one thing that I learned fairly quickly when I got into the industry. I first worked for Extreme Associates, and I came into shoot behind the scenes. I was working for Extreme Associates and Evolution Erotica, and Tom Byron, who owned Evolution Erotica, him and I sat down, and he's a legend in the industry. And I mean, that man's been around since he was 18 years old. I don't know how old he is now. He's got to be in the industry probably close to 40 years or so, if not longer. And I would pick his brain. And then one day he told me something that stuck in my head for forever. And that was, I asked him how sales work. And he said that you make a movie, and then the original sales go out to all the distributors, to all the stores. And if somebody rents the movie and likes it, they keep it. They pay extra to keep the movie, and now the store has to reorder them. Or if the box cover or whatever may be in the movie is so attractive to the customer, they don't rent it, they just buy it straight out. So from that point, I was like, well, shit, I need to make every movie stand out. I want every movie to stand on its own, with its own style, with its own creativity. So when somebody gets it, they're like, holy shit, I need to hold on to this. So when I first the first movie I directed was Sexual Predator, and I didn't have a lot of say in it because they were kind of like still like, holding me by my hand through the process. But then I did Sexual Predator 2, or Sexual Predators 2, I think it was called. And I did some really cool shit. I did some really like scary horror clown stuff and dream sequences. I even used some of my Y2K zombie footage in the television that's like public access TV. It's all like grainy and shit for the scene where the girl is watching this scary movie and there's a killer clown under her blanket. To me, it was just like, for myself, I wanted to build a brand where I stand out above the rest. Especially back then, the directors couldn't barely white balance a fucking camera. And I'm like here with a bachelor's degree in cinematography, who gives a shit about what I shoot and what I create. So I wanted to stand out. So I did that movie, and then I did a movie called Texas Asshole Massacre with my ex. And that movie, on its own, first of all, it got a ton of nominations. Best Comedy, she got Best Actress. Another guy got Dirty Harry got Best Supporting Actor, and I actually got a directing job offer from one of the big feature companies. The movie cost very little. I think it was like the budget was $8,000, and I was going up against a movie that was $150,000. This company called me up for a meeting. I just went to meet with them. I'm very loyal. I wasn't going to go anywhere, but I went in, and they pitched this idea of me coming on board, and I don't have to shoot camera. I don't have to edit. I could just sit and just direct. And my question was, why the fuck would I do that? I love to light. I love to shoot. I love to edit. I love to get my hands dirty on set. if you're directing porn and you're not doing any of that shit, you're not really directing. So what are you telling? Like, do doggy, do mish. It's ridiculous. You really need to get your hands dirty in this industry. Plus, the budget's not big enough for you just to sit on your ass and just point at the monitor. Anyways, going back to Texas Asshole Massacre, what I did was with this movie, I wanted the movie to stand out. So the last scene of the movie, the chase scene, like in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where Leatherface chases this girl through the field, and then she jumps in the truck and takes off, and he does the chainsaw dance where he's like waving it around, and he's just all pissed off. Well, I recreated that scene with my ex Cami Andrews and Gia Paloma, and we had this location, was like this totally hillbilly white trash, broken down cabin with busted up cars, and they're running and chasing, and like Cami is running, she's naked with an apron on, with a 3-foot dildo, chasing Gia, who's fully naked. And we shoot a great chase scene. In fact, I had a little camera that I had Gia holding for one of the shots with a fisheye lens. So she's holding up to her face, running, while Cami is right behind her. And that camera actually broke during that chase scene because of the bouncing and things like that. Luckily, the tape was saved. It was recorded. It was on tape. So the footage is actually in the trailer, in the movie. It turned out amazing. But to me, the whole point of doing this chase scene was, when somebody rents this movie, obviously they're going to rent it because they're a porn fan, and they're probably a horror fan because they see Texas Asshole Massacre, which is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, basically. And when they see the final scene, they want to keep the movie. They're like, fuck that. I'm not taking this back to the store. Or better yet, they just buy it at the store because they see the trailer or they see the chase scene somewhere, and they want to hold on to it to show to their friends or hopefully their parents. That'd be kind of interesting. Anyways, that was the whole point. I wanted to build on my brand. I wanted to do these movies. I wanted to stand out in the crowd. So I was always into sneakers. Ever since I was a teenager, I always wore cool sneakers. I wore colorful clothes. But once I got into filmmaking, I wore strictly black, because when you're on the film crew, you need to blend in with the shadows. You can't stand out. So I would always wear black. Once I got into porn and had this conversation with Tommy, he said, you got to really, step up and stand out from the crowd. I was like, fuck it, man. I'm going to be the most colorful, most vibrant, badass director in the industry. And what happened was, eventually, me wearing crazy clothes to all the award shows and sneakers and handing out stuffed animals to girls after shoots, I became that guy. Girls who didn't even know me, they were like, oh, you're the dude with the jerseys. Oh, you're the guy with the sneakers. Oh, you're the guy who dresses crazy for the award shows. And to me, it was a way of expressing myself, but also building on the brand. Down to like people from AVN would like hit me up like, hey, what are you wearing this year to the convention or to the award show? One was probably because they wanted to make sure I wasn't wearing anything completely inappropriate. And two, they were just curious. Down to like my brand got so big at one point that AVN did a contest for fans at the convention where one of the fans can win a day on set with me, which to me was like the most flattering thing. So what happened was they dragged me to the front of the red carpet, which pissed a lot of people off because back then the red carpet lines were like 3 to 4 hours. And they would take pictures with me. They did an interview with me. I was on Showtime, and I was like, man, I'm gonna step up my fucking quote unquote branding dress up. And I wore an orange hat. I had a purple shirt that with white and orange letters that said "Blank Fake, Talent Real." I had an old wind-up Super 8 camera. I spray painted it gold on the gold chain. I had orange shorts on, orange and purple sneakers. I was dressed to impress in some ways, or at least stand out in the crowd, because that was my gimmick. And trust me, like building on this brand, I'm shy as fuck. So for me to like dress up like that, I like to go to events with friends. Like literally, like I don't think there's, the only award show I ever went to, AVN award show that I ever went to that I was dating somebody was my first award show when Texas Asshole Massacre was nominated with my ex, and I dressed like a fucking adult. No hat, pants, and a button-up shirt. That was it. And after that, it was just like me and the homies going to the award shows, dress up as crazy as I want, so I stand out. So for this award show, I actually got stood up at the last minute, and I had to go by myself, and I was so nervous. And so I wear these sunglasses to hide my tears, my fear of like all these people standing there taking pictures of me and interviewing me. So it's it gets nerve-wracking. It really does. But at the end of the day, it's cool because like you get that attention because of your brand, and then if you're confident in your work, it's even better because you could come in the room and be the loudest yelling person, but if your work sucks, eventually it'll catch up with you, that also goes with if you have a bad reputation, you have a bad brand, and there's plenty of people like that. You can have great work, but if you're a shitty person or you have a bad reputation, eventually it's going to catch up with you. So to me, it was always about do things the right way, make some really good content, and stand out in the crowd. Down to like, the only girl I ever did in the industry, Cammie Andrews. Man, when her and I got together, we did Texas Asshole Massacre. I made her watch that fucking movie, made her watch that chase scene over and over again. So once we got to location, she could pull off doing Leatherface. And she did a great job down to doing the chainsaw dance at the end where she's waving the giant dildo over her head like Leatherface did with the chainsaw. But to me, it was just like, well, let's build a brand, and this is way before social media. There was no social media. There was like message boards and then Yahoo groups. So what I did was, and also blogs, and there was like livejournal.com that would host your blog. So I started doing a blog. And that's the whole thing. It's always been, for me, it's always been about, I would love to be partners in crime with somebody who cares about their brand, wants to build on their brand, wants to create, wants to stand out in the crowd. And Cammie was that. She just was an open book for me to do whatever the fuck I wanted, and with her, and then we could collaborate like Texas Asshole Massacre. That was her first AVN nomination. It was Texas Asshole Massacre, and then we actually won Adam Film World magazine Best Comedy or Best Parody, which was fantastic. This was obviously way before XBiz, so there was no XBiz awards back then. But I helped her build on her brand. Like when I went to visit her on the East Coast, I would take my camera and we would shoot stuff. We put up these amazing blogs of like pictures and videos from our trips. Like we wound up going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame and to a hockey game. I'd never been to White Castle. All of a sudden, she's like, I'm surprised you were going to go to White Castle. And I even made a poster that said, Ivan and Cammie goes to White Castle. So I just replaced Harold and Kumar with our faces. And that was on the blog. And that blog did so well, it won Porn Blog of the Year award. Because again, I cared about what I did. I was an open book. I built on my brand, and I'm like, this is going to be me. This is going to be about me, and it's going to be about my brand, and I love what I'm doing, and let's just run with it. And I think anybody who wants to build on their brand can't look at it as work. They got to look at it as an investment into themselves. So when you wake up in the morning, you don't look at it like, oh, fuck, I got to do this. If that day comes and you're in the industry and you're like, oh, man, I got to do this today, then don't do it. Just move on because it's not worth it. The money's definitely not worth it. And anxiety and stress level is for sure something you don't need dealing with this industry. So you got to kind of love what you do. You become your own boss, at least when it comes to your own branding and your own vision, and you run with it. And that was always my mindset, especially when we started Puba. And Puba is a porn star network site where we do porn star websites. We do sites and did sites for some of the biggest names in the industry. And I helped build some of these girls' brands because of the creative images that we made. And we also had a DVD deal. So we put out some fucking amazing DVDs with these girls. I started a series called Sexploitation of, and whichever girl it was. And for that year, I would spend the whole year just shooting really cool, creative, beautiful stuff with that specific girl. And we did 6 of them, and all 6 were nominated for Best Showcase DVD. And mind you, this was shot as content trade with no budget. It was just me, the camera, sometimes a photographer to help me out if there's a day, the days were too long or too much for one person to do, but it's usually just a girl and myself. And we would collaborate, we would brainstorm, we'd come up with some cool ideas. The girls would let me do my thing, and it was amazing. And and it helped them with their brand because some of these girls, like their first big showcase DVD was through their website, and And in these days, people who shoot for the clip stores, they're never going to have that option unless they hire, a talented director or cinematographer to help them do these things. So, I mean, like, I did a sexploitation DVD for Danny Daniels, Abigail Mack, Romy Rain, Nicole Aniston, Leia Falcon, Alex Lynx. Those are some big name girls. And then also we had girls like Asa Akira, Christy Mack, Allison Tyler, Samantha Saint, Skin Diamond. We did some really big name girls, Shyla Styles. And I shot some really badass London Keys. I mean, we were doing some really cool stuff and helping girls build on their brand the way they wanted to with their personal content, because, you shoot for other companies, which is fantastic, and they help you build on the brand because of their big name. But you don't have say as a performer when you're shooting for other companies. When you're shooting for your own website or for your own content, you have the say to what you want to do, what you don't want to do, with who you want to do it, with who you don't want to do it. And just to give you an example, like someone like Skin Diamond. Skin Diamond is one of the nicest, coolest people I have ever met in porn, right? So with Skin, she's never directed. So she wanted to direct a movie. And she wanted the movie, because she's a big nerd, so she wanted to do a movie called Nerdgasm, where it's 4 scenes, and one was a Harry Potter scene, Doctor Who scene, Queen of the Damned, and I honestly forget the last one. But anyway, Star Wars scene. So she's all like, hey, can we co-direct this and do this movie? And I'm like, no. You're directing it. I'm your cameraman and I'm your editor. And she's like, no, I want you to get the credit because, I'm going to work as much on it as she will, but it's her vision. And she's like, no, I told her straight up, I'm putting cameraman credit on there and that's it. I'm going to be designing the box cover in some way. So no, you're the director. And she was very grateful. We had a great time making Nerdgasm, and it got 2 nominations. Again, as content. It was a content shot movie. Just her and I, mostly just her and I. And she got 2 nominations. And she was thrilled. Her first directing job. And that was, to me, see, like, this is the beauty of Puba, because it doesn't seem like anybody in the industry wants to date me anyways, except for my ex. So I'm like, well, if the girls were smart, they would date me because I would help them build on some fucking pretty cool fucking branding. But since that's not going to happen, which is fine, I'm going to help Puba girls with shooting some really badass shit, doing some really cool stuff, because a handful of them are really good friends of mine. And really good people. So let's just build on it. We're homies, and we're going to do some really cool stuff, and we trust each other. And that's what we did. It's like Christy Mack. I always bring her up to people about branding because she did it the right way. She did all the research on how to post, when to post, what to post, at what times, what are the best times for the East Coast and West Coast. These things are important. How to hashtag, what kind of poses to do. These are all the things that you should think about when you're on your social media. Look, social media is all bullshit and it's all fake and just like our fake stories and fake lives and all that stuff. But it's good for branding if you do it the right way. And with her, it was always been, and she even said it in the podcast that her and I did, she's never shot a scene where she wasn't happy with or later regretted. And that's what you should do. You should take control of yourself and your vision and run with it. Like now I direct for Alterotic, and a handful of girls reach out to me and they're like, I strictly want to shoot with you. I want you to help me with my brand. I want you to help me be creative. I love your lighting. I love whatever it may be. I love the time we have on set because my sets are pretty laid back. And those are things that are important. And again, that goes with my brand. He's that non-threatening dude who will shoot some cool shit with you and make sure you're treated as a human being on set. And this is why Anabolic, back in the day, made a poster for me that said Captain Save a Hoe, because their whole thing was like, look, he's going to try to save every hoe in his business. I'm not. I'm just trying to be a decent person. I'm not here to save anybody. I'm here to treat people properly and as human beings. So that's always just been the way I was, and eventually that reputation it goes a long way, because then people hear about it. Oh, he's the dude that wears crazy clothes. He's the dude that dresses up like a clown to the fucking award shows. But you could also trust him on set and trust him off set. And that's important. And when you're branding yourself, you got to think about these things, because it's really hard to build up your reputation, your name, but it's really easy to destroy it. It's really one misstep and you're done, and you're really done. So you always have to think twice before you do something, and you have to be confident in what you're doing and how you're doing it, and with who. That's so. I've always had that mentality. I come from mainstream, and in mainstream, your last project is your portfolio for your next job or your project. In porn, unfortunately, when I got in, people didn't give a fuck. They were like, oh, and this is the mentality back then. Oh, it's just porn. What do you mean it's just porn? It's your fucking name on it, whether it's real or fake name. It's your name attached to the product. And then eventually it'll catch up. If your shit sucks, eventually it'll catch up. And when the industry started struggling, those idiots who's like, oh, it's just porn, disappeared, because nobody gave a fuck about them, because they didn't give a fuck about the industry. All they cared about, let's get to set, let's get it done as fast as we can so I could try to get laid. That's it. Wow, that's a good attitude to have, right? So I've always tried to maintain that professional environment, because that's just the right thing to do. And when it comes to these days, people just shooting their own content, because I co-own a company called Puba, and we do all these girl sites, and we've done some amazing content, some amazing movies. Holy shit. I mean, look, did a movie called Viking Girls Gone Horny, all content trade, and got 5 AVN nominations, and actually won an AVN. That's insane if you think about it, that we had no budget. It's just me and the girls running around, and Viking props that I bought out of pocket, and shot in the desert, shot at all kinds of different places, and it got 5 nominations. And I took my trophy, by my best web director trophy, AVN trophy, and shove it up Leia Falcon's ass in the scene. And I didn't. Somebody else did. But it won most outrageous scene. And it was just like, literally what you do is, if you love what you do, if you love your brand and your product, it's not work. It's a labor of love. And to me, Viking Girls Gone Horny was a labor of love. And so you put your heart and soul into it. To me, I put not only my heart and soul into it, every penny I have into it, because I wanted to make the coolest movie. Because also, if you think about it, as a director, I'm shooting these girls as content trade, right? So I'm not putting money in their pocket. So for me, I want to make sure I step up my game and put together the best visuals that the girls can have. Period. No matter if they're shooting for a big company, little company, for free or whoever. This is the whole point. You treat people with respect, and they're giving me their time and their likeness and their brand for me to shoot with. What the fuck am I to half-ass it? I'm going to work my ass off and make sure that visually and as people, they are completely pleased with the experience. And we have something cool. And Viking Girls Gone Horny got 5 nominations. And then Carjackers got 3 nominations the year later, where after we won Most Outrageous Scene for that AVN trophy up his ass, Leia got DP'd with 2 AVN trophies. My web director trophy and the Most Outrageous Scene trophy. And we should have won Most Outrageous Scene again, because I don't think anyone's ever got DP'd with 2 AVN trophies, but we lost to a fucking puppet scene. But welcome to how politics of award shows operate, right? I mean, seriously? I'm sure there's been hundreds of puppet scenes out there. How many fucking scenes have had 2 AVN trophies up a girl? None. With a really funny, cool fucking storyline for Carjackers, where a bunch of chicks are playing dominoes, and they're gangster girls from Compton, not Compton. But it is what it is. But when I did win the award, Best Web Director award, a few years ago, it was really cool. I actually had to leave the workshop because the person I was there with wanted to leave because she was upset over some dumb shit. Not with me, but how AVN Awards treated her ex-fiance. But people came up to me from AVN, and they straight up said, you won on the merit of your work, because I wasn't shooting for Brazzers or Reality Kings or any of these big web companies with big budgets. I had no budget. It's just me. And I've been doing this for years. So to have people come up to me and tell me like, hey, you won on the merit of your work, not who you work for, because I wasn't working for anybody at the time. I was with Puba. That was it. And to win that over all these big directors was a hell of a compliment. And again, it goes back to branding, loving what I do, loving the art of creating, and having the respect to your peers who are helping you get through this and do this. So it was amazing. I mean, look, the last 2 years I won XRCO Best Web Director, and it's the same thing. It's literally because of the merit of my work. I don't work for anybody that advertises. I've never worked for anybody that advertised. My first AVN award I won after I had over 100 AVN nominations. Was I bitter? Fuck yeah, I was. But I'm like, but this is how it works, man. It's just life. So when I won Best Web Director, this is why people from AVN come up to me and they're like, you really deserved it. And it's literally like, if I didn't give a shit about my branding or my name or my content, my fake name, then it would just be like so many other directors, just kind of like pump out porn, and I'm not that person. I really care about what I do, and that's how you build a brand. It shows. So what I was saying, I went on this tangent about it. Now a lot of people shoot content on their cell phones or with their boyfriend or their girlfriend at home, whatever it may be. Now, how are you supposed to build a brand off that? You explain to me how you're building a brand. You're not. You're making that quick money, which is fine if that's what it is. But you will never live off that brand. You will never live off that money. You will make that money to pay your rent, blah, 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 for that month or two, and then it's gone. But if you build a brand and you do it properly, then these same clip stores are going to fucking explode for you because you have a bigger name, you have a bigger audience, and bigger audience who wants to throw money at you to see you do things at home or whatever it may be. Go talk to, if you're in the industry or you're, friends with people in the industry, talk to the bigger name girls who don't lie about how much they make. And you'll see the big difference in scale for what they make on their clip stores compared to girls who never built a brand. That's the whole thing. Is, and how do you build a brand? You do it properly. You shoot for big companies. You shoot things that make you look good. When the Poopa girls were shooting a lot, they had some beautiful visuals out there, beautiful videos, movies with their names on it. So when they went feature dancing, they can have movies that they could sell with them on the box cover. That's just about them. I mean, think about that. Like if you're so-and-so and you have a movie called Sexploitation of whoever, Barbie Apples, right? It's your fucking movie. All the scenes are you in the most creative way. You're on the box cover. Look, I even spent $300 to $350 per movie to make a box cover. I hired an artist to do a box cover. That's how much dedication I had into the product and to the girls that were in these movies or were featured for these movies. And trust me, there were a handful of them that literally told me to go fuck myself at the end of it all. But you know something? Okay, I'm sure they told a bunch of people to go fuck themselves, and it's not about me, and it's not just them pointing at me. They're probably doing that to a handful of people. But at the end of the day, we shot some really cool shit together. So I could be angry that they told me to go fuck myself, but we did create some beautiful art together that could never be taken back, and I appreciate them giving me the time and the effort to do it. And I hope at the end of the day, they look back and they're like, hey, this motherfucker who I can't stand anymore for whatever reason, which none of them are legit reasons, I could for sure tell you that, but for whatever it is, we did some great things together, and you can never take that back. So these things are important. You treat people with fucking respect. You treat your brand with respect. You treat your product with respect. If you're constantly shooting just a bunch of shit on your cell phone to just pump out content, it's great because you're building, your bank account, but you're not building a brand. You need to build a brand with beautiful visuals. You're not getting beautiful visuals with your fucking cell phone. That's for sure. Maybe if you're outside, and it's bright sunny day, but when you're shooting shit inside, and still, what is it like? You're not shooting cool, creative content. Maybe a handful of people are, but the rest are not. They're just pumping it. I know, and I have so many people are just pumping out content. Let's just shoot this. Let's just shoot this. Okay, so You can't complain later that when you leave and you're broke or you're not making enough money, you're pissed. Well, why are you pissed? Because you did it the wrong way. You know, I'm sure Asa Akira, Christy Mack, Nicole Aniston, Allison Tyler, whoever else are not pissed because they did it the right way. They're like they left, or they're close to leaving, or they're like on, like, you know, towards the end of their career, and they're like, yo, I could live off my brand. I could go just shoot stuff for my OnlyFans or for my clip store or custom videos and or whatever it may be, and make some money. Feature dancing, you know, you build a brand, you make a shit ton more feature dancing. And I'll tell you, I've traveled with girls who had a big brand, and I know what they made, and I've traveled with girls who never built up a brand, and they know what they made. And then you hear through the grapevine what people make, and you're like, yeah, you built up a brand. Lisa Ann, one of the highest paid female performers out there for across the board. Why? Built up a brand. Good for her. You know what it is? She's a businesswoman. That's like, was it the last podcast, I think, like, went off on the whole the hashtag porn star lifestyle, porn star bullshit. I'm a businesswoman. Porn star, you live a porn star lifestyle, your ass is broke. You live a businesswoman lifestyle, you're investing into yourself and into your future, into your family's future. That's it. You want to call yourself a porn star because it's just easier that way, so people understand. But if it gets to your head and you think you're that, well, that's why so many girls leave the industry kicking and screaming, pissed off, because they left broke. And I know a bunch of girls that they fake their shit all over social media, like they're ballers or they give a fuck about people in the industry, when the reality is they don't. But they have to put up that front, and they're resentful. And the things that they say, like, behind closed doors is insane. And they can't blame anybody. Blame yourself. This industry gives talented from the camera so many outlets to make money if you're doing it the right way. Whether it's adult entertainment or otherwise, there's a lot of outlets. I've always said, if I had a pussy and I was in this industry, I would have a camera on it 24/7. Period. If I'm selling it, I'm selling it. You know, and then all of a sudden GoPros come out. I'm like, you motherfuckers better strap that GoPro to your you know, upper thigh and just point it right at your vagina and just have 24/7 vagina shots selling wherever you could sell it. And then OnlyFans comes around. I'm like, there you go. Somebody had the idea of, like, just record all your shit and throw it up on here and make some money. But that kind of stuff works better if you build a brand with beautiful visuals, so people don't just see you like, oh, here's fucking Barbie Beefcakes, she just woke up and here's a video of her without makeup, which is great, but where are those videos of her beautiful and as that unattainable porn, quote unquote porn star? There's none, because these people don't shoot for anybody reputable. But I have seen content providers who take the time and they hire a crew to do things properly, so they do have beautiful visuals. So you do have that, people that actually care about their brand, who get it. But that's the part that's so important. You're building a brand, build it the right way, and think about, like, these are your visuals going out to the world. This is your brand. This is you. This is a representation of you, whether it's your real name, your fake name, your combination of both. This is what it is. You know, like for me, my real name is Slava. My director name is Ivan. And London Keys used to call me Slivan because she thought it was funny because it was a mixture of both. And I'm like, fuck, I really like that. So I went and I got Slivan.com, which I eventually lost because I was going through a depression and I forgot to renew my domain name. That's basically what happened. So I have Slivan.tv, which is my YouTube channel. And I built my brand, a lot of it, on my YouTube channel by simply posting everything on there. Like I used to do with my blog. I converted that blog into my YouTube channel. I had a friend who wanted to pitch a reality show about me. So he said, you need to start a YouTube channel, just post everything. So I ran around with the camera, recording everything. On sets, I hired my friend Chris to come on sets to shoot strictly behind the scenes of me and edit them into episodes. And it got so big, I started this thing called Best Porn Week Ever. And it was basically like, you know, like best week ever was on VH1, and I wanted to do a similar thing called bestpornweekever.com. And 6 episodes in on that, I got a cease and desist letter from somebody who owned a similar domain name, but my domain was getting more traffic. My YouTube channel was getting more traffic than theirs. So I had to pull it. I still have the episodes. I throw them up on YouTube. I think I have them up on YouTube. but I had to pull the website. I'm not trying to get sued, but it was all because of branding. Here's that colorful dude that shoots really cool shit, and he's funny on set and funny looking, fat bearded motherfucker, and that was it, and that's what I was doing, and my YouTube channel like went up to 50 million views because of it, and strictly because I was an open book, I cared about my brand, and I spent so much time building it. Man, there's 700 videos on there. And trust me, I'm busy, so for me to find time to actually do that means you have to give a fuck. You have to care. This is what happened with starting this podcast. King Slivan. Again, Slivan was that mixture of both names. And I was in the hospital, and I was just like, what can I do to be creative? I need an outlet. And I need an outlet for creativity, and I need an outlet for my voice. And it was perfect. I was like, well, I have plenty of stories to share. I have plenty of experiences and things and knowledge I would love to like pass along before if I can die. So let's just do this podcast and interview some really cool people at the same time. So far it's been really good, and again, this is why I haven't done a podcast in a couple of weeks. I've just been so busy, but I'm like, I have a busy next couple of weeks. Oh my gosh, this whole month is going to be really, really swamped for me. But I wanted to get this podcast in about branding and just share my experiences and my knowledge of how to do it. And not saying I know everything about it. I don't, but I just know that if you treat your brand as extension of yourself, you will never look at it as work. You will never wake up going, "Ugh, I gotta do this." No, you will wake up excited to do it. And you need consistency. That's the one part about branding, consistency. And this is the one thing about like when we were shooting a lot of the girls for their websites. And at one point I think we've had a total of 50 or 60 girls, and I think down to like maybe 30 or so. But anyways, I would tell the girls, especially the ones who weren't shooting a lot, and some of them got it, and that was their whole point, was I'm not shooting a lot for other companies, but I want to shoot enough for my website so I consistently have visuals going up there on social media, going up on my site, going up on my clip stores, so people think I'm busy. And when you look busy, you're more wanted, because people are like, oh, wait a minute, that person's busy. Why are they shooting so much? Why? I need a piece of that. I need a piece of that. Let me book them for a shoot, or let me go buy a custom video for them, or let me go sign up to their website, or let me go follow them on social media. Every day you post something, and every day you post something where people are like, holy shit, look at her, look at him. I want to follow them. I want to be part of it. And it's important. That consistency is so important. So the girls who weren't shooting a lot for other companies with us, they were excited to shoot really cool shit, because then it's out there. Like when you're posting stuff on social media, people don't know who you're shooting for necessarily. They see beautiful visuals of you, they see beautiful videos of you, and they follow you because they're like, that person has made it. The one thing about social media and YouTube is that people who look at that stuff think you're fucking celebrities. And to the people that goes to their head about like, oh, I have all these followers. You're not a fucking celebrity. Let's get it straight. First of all, most people in porn, the reason they have so many followers is because they show TNA. Period. Doesn't make them smarter, more powerful, or anything else than anybody else. It's just they're showing their tits and ass, which is fine. So a lot of people go and follow that. Don't let it go to your fucking head. Just because some dude in the basement, or thousands of dudes in basements holding their dick, like all your pictures. But those people are the ones that keep coming back. So these are the people you need to keep happy with beautiful visuals, consistency. Because if that person who's a big fan of yours goes to your page or goes to your website or whatever else and doesn't see an update for a day or two, then move on to the next girl. So you consistently have to be on top of your game, and you have to stand out in the crowd. That's the whole thing. That's like going back to what Ricky D said. You walk in that fucking room, you be the loudest motherfucker, and you stand out in the crowd. And then when people look at you, they're like, oh, that's a person, is that. So always, to me, it's been like people that are more creative in this industry, or look differently, or have their own style. That means the world, because one, they're expressing themselves. So again, it's not a job. It's like extension of themselves. If you're the typical like fucking production line porno looking chick, you're not standing out in the crowd, unless you do something that's really unique to make yourself stand out, and something that you love so much that it's not work. So then you could see the passion in your brand with your posts. But if you don't have that, good luck, man. You're gonna shoot a bunch of stuff with your boyfriend or girlfriend with your cell phone, make some money, and then now there's porn videos of you out everywhere, and then what? And did you make enough to like get an education, buy a house, pay off your loans, pay off all your bills? Well, possibly not. But there's all this porn out there of you. So if you're gonna do it, you jump in it and you do it the right way. That's like when Christy used to tell me when we first met. She's like, before I did anything, I made sure I owned everything Christy Mack, everything, and that's what you do. You own everything of the same. So there's not like to a bunch of people online that like troll you and on your domain names or your username. No, before you get in or once you're in, you make sure you own everything. You own it, not somebody else. And you run it yourself or have somebody you trust run it for you. Very important. And that was always the thing with me, is that I wanted to do it my way. I turned down all the major companies. Not every single one, but every big company that came my way, I've turned them down because I'm just like, I don't like to shoot production line porn because that would kill me. That would just if it came down to where I'm like, okay, I got to pay my bills, I would. But if I had other resources and other ways of making money and still being creative and working on my artistic visions, I'm going with that. Trust me, I could have made a lot more money in this industry if I were just like, okay, I'm just going to work for them. No. But then I would have been miserable and resentful. I'd rather work with somebody that gives me the freedom, or work with, like with Puba, with a bunch of Puba girls that just gave me the freedom to create and do what I wanted. Because at the end of the day, we're all going to fucking die broke or rich, right? But are we going to die happy? Are we like, that was the whole thing. Like, I would always tell my friends, man, if I die at fucking 50, I'm fine. I have an amazing mainstream horror reel. I have an amazing porn reel. I have a great reputation. I'm known as the guy who's not trying to fuck you out of money or just trying to fuck you on set. And I've done things to the best of my ability and treated people with the utmost respect. So if I die at 50, fuck, man, I've lived a great life. I can't complain about shit. And then I almost died at 49 last October. And then you start rethinking that mentality. But no regrets. All the stuff I did for girls and companies that stood out in the crowd was very important, and it helped build my life, build my reputation, build my portfolio. So yes, doing all this stuff financially killed me, mentally killed me in many ways because of some of the way people treated me, and health-wise almost died. And it was literally because I'm a workaholic, because I love what I do. But I'm not taking any of it back. I'm not a victim. I did it my way. I did it with people that, at least at the time, were very thankful and grateful for working with me, and vice versa. And that's it. You can't look backwards and be like, oh man, I should have done this. No, you fucking did it. So that's why you should never look back and regret things. So if you do things the right way, or at least attempt to do them the right way, in building your brand and building your name, you can never look back and go fuck man, seriously, what did I do? I should have done it this way. A quick thing, when I was at Evolution, and I did Texas Asso Massacre, I did a series called Euthanasia. And this was literally the first time where I really took that whole concept of I need to make this movie so different and unique than anything that's been out there. And what I did was I took pictures of the girls' camel toes. And on the DVD, we had a section that was called Guess the Camel Toe Game. And so there were 6 girls in the movie, and we had 6 camel toes. And if you get every single one of them right, one by one, you get an extra bonus solo that I shot with a girl. Paid her out of my pocket. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Let's do this. This is going to be great. And Guess the Camel Toe Game was on Euthanasia DVD. I don't know if it was on part 2, but I know it was on part 1. And to me, it was just this is so different. So different. And that's what you got to think about. You got to think about, how different am I going to make myself, my brand, my style, my scenes. So important. And that goes with, regular filmmaking as well, man. How am I going to stand out? Or in life in general, as a model, as a photographer, as a videographer, how am I going to stand out? There's so many of everything, especially these days with everything in digital. Everyone and their mother is a Instagram model or photographer or videographer. I mean, trust me, I get way too many messages from people who want to direct porn because they've shot their girlfriend banging them, you know? That doesn't make you shit, man. Go get a fucking education. Not saying go spend money. Go watch, you know, and suggest to so many people, go watch Visions of Light. If you watch it and then your heart starts pumping about lighting and creating with light and shadows, you know you're on the right fucking path. If you watch it and you're just like, oh, that was pretty cool, then go fuck yourself. Like, you need to, if you want to be a camera person, you watch that. And then you should be like, motherfucker, I want to learn this, I want to do this. Otherwise, again, go fuck yourself. And same goes for talent. If you're a talent in this industry, go watch porn, but not to jerk off. Watch porn and see how people position themselves, how they react on camera, what poses they get into, how do they transition from a pose. All these things, what the performers are saying on camera. If you're watching your own porn, you watch it and you go like, that's a really awkward position for myself. I don't want to do that. I look terrible in it. You know, things like that. We had a Puba girl, big name Puba girl, who eventually hosted one of the big award shows. And literally, I would cut out the same position every time. I would hint to her not to do this position, but I don't want to really hurt her feelings. So I would just shoot the position. I would shoot extra long other positions, and I would edit that position out because she looked terrible in it, you know. And then she turned on me. She turned on the company. But I'm just like, well, that doesn't matter. Like, as a director, you make sure you do things the right way, and you put the talent in a comfortable situation where they trust you, no matter what goes on in your personal situation with that person. You got to be professional and do your job. And I made sure she looked as beautiful as she could and as she is, and just cut out certain positions, certain things. My ex, the same thing. She would get in doggy, and her breasts look horrendous in doggy. And I'd always tell her, like, put your arm right here to hide that the situation going on, you know. And then she would. And there would be times where I'm shooting her, and I would like literally go to her face, and I would take her hand with my non-camera hand, and I would move it to hide, you know, her breasts from that position. Or I would just literally straight up like say like move your body, you know, or whatever it may be. But I was always looking out. And this is what you do. You shoot talent and you look out for them. As a director, that's your job. As an editor, it's your job after everything's shot as well. I had a photographer one time. He was using my lighting, my artsy, like gritty lighting to shoot a girl. And he didn't relight for in video I can edit out certain spots, so I'm shooting it to light a certain way, and then like things that are not good, I know I'm going to edit out. Well, he didn't fix his light and didn't change my lighting. He did the exact same lighting for stills, and you could see all the girls' imperfections. Really bad, really, you know, like just not bad, I should say, but not very flattering. And she was mortified. And in fact, she was like, I don't trust him in making me look good anymore. And as a photographer or a videographer, if you lose that confidence in that talent, you're done. Because one, they don't want to work with you again. If they do, they're going to be self-conscious. Two, they might tell other people. So you always have to be on top of your game. And if you truly give a fuck about your brand and your work and your product, you're not going to necessarily care who's in front of the camera. You're going to make them look beautiful no matter who the fuck they are. Or to do as beautiful as you could possibly make them, male or female, you know, because that's your job. And if you care and it's your passion, you do. This is why when I'm lighting or I'm doing pictures or I light and have a photographer take pictures, a lot of times I'm there because I'm just like, no, can you get this? Well, hold on, let me get a little eye light here. Let's do this, because it's important. Because this is like my name's going on, and that photographer's name. If there's a photographer on set, if it's not, it's just me. Then, you know, then it's just me. But these things are important. This is your one livelihood, two your brand, your product, your visuals, and then you're also working with talent is like opening themselves up for you. So you got to do the same thing, you know. And And that's the thing, is you can't look at it as talent or crew person and count the minutes on set as well. Like in porn we call it the hooker mentality. And it's one of the things where the talent will be on set looking at their watch. How much longer? How much longer? And you're just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, we're working to make you look beautiful, and then you're counting the minutes. Again, hooker mentality. I want my money now. I want it the easiest, the fastest way possible, and move on. And that's fine for hookers. But if you're an artist and you're creating and you're on set, that's not how it works sometimes, That's not what you do. I actually had a girl who won Best New Starlet at AVN years ago. Well, she was a contract girl, so I assume maybe that's why she won. I was shooting her with my friend Sasha, who owns Alterotic, and 12 minutes into the scene, literally 12 minutes into the scene, she's in Mish, she looks at the camera, she puts her hand up towards me, and she goes, how much longer? 12 minutes into the scene. Scene's got to be 25 minutes, man, or longer. 12 minutes into the scene, are you kidding me? This is how she just doesn't give a shit. She was just there for the money. And you know what happened eventually? She eventually left the industry. She was very bitter. She got fucked up on drugs. She had to come back because she was broke. And she straight up told me on set one day, I'm back only because I need money and I fucking hate the industry. But that was her. And when she did the whole, how much longer? I go, let's just finish up. And I'm like, and we basically like finished at 15 minutes. It was like, whatever, man. Like I'm not gonna, because now you're just gonna lay there like a rag doll. It's gonna look horrible. So let's just fucking finish off the list. And I said, we need 3 to 5 more minutes. So this way she could like hone all her whatever energy she had left over into these 3 to 5 minutes, and we're fucking done. If I told her like we need another 10, 15 minutes, she would have laid there for half the time, if not the whole time, bitter that she's still got to be doing the scene for that much longer, even though it was only 12 minutes into the scene. So again, that's a hooker mentality, because that chick was like straight up, that was majority of her money was like sugar daddies and clients, which is fantastic. You just can't bring that to set, to your brand, and and she was known as that, like, shitty performer, didn't give a fuck. So there's your brand, and like, how much work did she lose from it? So you got to really care about what you're doing, and the few people that I wound up dating, I try to help them with their brand, like, with Cami. Shit, man, the stuff we created was amazing. Down to like, she got a directing job with Elegant Angel, because there was an opening for a director at Elegant Angel. This was about 15, 16 years ago or so, and they gave out 4 or 5 budgets to different people to shoot a scene, and it was a demo scene. So they gave her a budget for one scene, and I'm like, yo, we're going to shoot the dopest fucking scene. We're going to edit it and make it fantastic. So I did all her camera work. She wrote the scene. She directed. I shot it. I lit it. I shot it. I edited it. And she handed it in. And they were like, this is fucking one of the best things we've ever seen. And straight up from Patrick Collins, the legend of the industry, owner of Elegant Angel, says, this is some of the best camera work I've ever seen. Boom. Fucking who? Ivan. At the time, it was Ivan E. Rection. Ivan, middle name E, last name Rection. So she's all like, that's my boyfriend, Ivan. And he's like, what? And she's like, yeah. He shot it and lit it, shot it and edited it for me. And she got a directing job. She got 6 movie a year directing job. And that's fucking badass for a performer who's never directed. And it was because we were a team. We built a fucking Texas Asshole Massacre, all those nominations, I got a job offer from Wicked Pictures from it, seriously, a couple of meetings from it, and turned them down because I'm very loyal to who I work for. And then when Patrick Collins found out her boyfriend Ivan from Extreme Associates was did the camera work, then he pursued me for years. Every time I run into him, he would sit down, give me a hug, and we would sit and talk about like life. And then, of course, it would end with, "Hey, so are you happy over there?" I'm like, morally, creatively, very happy. And then eventually, I quit because of the morally part. But I never took him up on the job because, 1, I'm very loyal who I work for. 2, I really like the directors there, and I didn't want to step on anyone's toes. Like, honestly, that was like my big thing was like, I do not want to step on anybody's toes and step into something that who knows what will happen? So I wound up eventually, when I quit Extreme Associates, I sat for like, I don't know, 3-4 months without a job, and then Anabolic came calling, and I went on board, and again, my brand was shooting beautiful stuff, and they were shooting straight up gonzo, boring fucking start at the feed, go up to the face. Hi, my name is so and so. I'm gonna get fucked right now. Scenes, and I came in and started shooting creative teases, beautiful teases, and one by one, the other directors were just kind of like dung 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 dung. Not because I was trying to get them fired. I was shooting cool shit, and they were shooting boring fucking. It's just porn, you know. So, again, give a fuck about what you're doing, about your brand, about your name, about your product, about your visuals, and it's never work, you know. And that goes for directors, photographers, especially for talent. You know, make sure when you're putting stuff out there, it's stuff that you're happy with, that later in life or even a week from now, you're not looking at it going, man, maybe I shouldn't have posted that, you know, because it's easier not to post something and get something better than post something and take it back. You know, there's way too much of that these days, where people just like act like, I just need to do this. No, stop for a second, you know, take a breath, smell the roses, and then figure out what's the best situation for yourself, for your brand especially. Man, I mean, how many people have you seen these days, part of this idiotic cancel culture, that are getting canceled, you know, because they did shit backwards. Because one, their ego; two, power trips. They didn't get it. They didn't give a fuck about their brand. They just kind of ran with it. And to me, it's always been like, think about it, overthink about it, and just look at the bigger picture. And I've always done that, always. And yeah, I've made mistakes. Hell yeah, we've all made mistakes. But then you just try to minimize the mistakes and do the best you can, and love what you do, because at the end of the day, you want to go to sleep happy, going like, man, my brand is fucking exactly where I want it to be. Whether it's huge or tiny, it doesn't matter, as long as you're happy with it. Yeah, preferably huge, so you make some money off of it. But if you're unhappy with what you're doing, man, look how many millionaires kill themselves all the time, right? Because they're not happy with what they're doing. But you know, you get broke ass artists. Why are artists so broke? They're doing it for the love of it. They do it for the passion of creating, for their art. You live for your art. If you're an artist, you're a creative person, you live for that. That's what you live for. People want to make the money, fuck yeah, let them do their thing, for sure. But are they happy? They might be happy because of the money, but they're not creative people. They're just kind of like, well, you know, I made my money, I'm good. I could drive a fucking beautiful car, or have beautiful women, you know, throw themselves at me. But for artists, it's different. For artists, it's about expressing and validation from your peers. That's what it matters. That's why I was like, hey, I don't give a fuck if I win awards, because I know my peers respect what I do. The talent I work with love what I do. They all want to work with me again for many reasons. And to me, that's the most important part of my brand. You know, if I would have fucking died in October, still happy. You know, I'm fucking damaged beyond damage now after this whole thing, and beautiful scars on my leg. But can I take it back? No. Do I want to take it back? No. Because my health issues were a result of me dedicating everything into my brand, into my life, into my art, whether it was horror movies or adult movies. Everything was channeled for that. Like and yes, it's stupid and it's in some ways childish, but I lived with blinders on. Everything on either side of me, you know, whatever people like, dude, you need to take care of yourself. You need to do this. You need to do this. I blocked them out, and I focused on the art of what I was doing and the creations I was doing. That meant the world to me, more than anything. If I would have fucking died, I'm like, man, look at the shit that I created with some really cool people, right? And my skin and bones are going to be gone, but what I put, you know, on tape, on digital, on canvas, or whatever it may be, will live on forever, or at least till you know, internet dies, or whatever happens next. But I can't take anything back, and I'm happy. And I'm happy because I've always done it the right way. I still have talent from haven't been in the industry for 10, 15 years, reach out to me. They're housewives now or moms or whatever it may be. Thank you so much for treating me as a human being, for doing some cool shit with me, all that stuff. And it's because you make an impact on people's lives. You make an impact on people's lives because if you're happy or you're satisfied, content with yourself and what you have going on, it's a lot easier to help others or treat others with that respect. If you're constantly bitter or sad or resentful, it takes a lot to internalize so much of it to put out a positive image and help others, because you're not helping yourself. So you have to help yourself first. And to me, helping myself wasn't about the health part of it. It was about the creative art of it. It should have been the health part of it. Now it really is. The last 5-6 months, it's all been about the health and creating. So now I'm doing both. I'm juggling being super creative with some fucking really cool people and being healthy, because I still have a lot more to create with. And that's very important. So important to find that balance and then run with that creative drive and building on your brand, because if that's what you truly want to do, it's not a job. I guess it's a career, but it's a lifestyle of your brand, and that part is beyond priceless. And so I guess at the end of the day, with this long branding rant, as find what you love, run with it. This is why I'm constantly making crazy shirts and different logos and different characters for my movies. Why I try to help my exes do some really cool shit and teach them and share my knowledge and my creativity with them and my education with them, because at the end of the day, they still reach out to me and they're like, hey, the shit you said you did, I really appreciate it because it changed a lot of perspective for me. That means a lot to me, So, and that's just how it goes. You share your wealth, your knowledge, your experiences, your passions with people that in your eyes deserve it, or you just want to, help out in some way. So if you're gonna brand yourself, do it the right way. Think about it daily. You wake up thinking about it. You go to sleep thinking about it, because it's an extension of yourself. It's like your baby within you. It's attached to you. To me, that's why Slivan works so well, because it's a mixture of Slava and Ivan, and sometimes, it gets blurred in the middle. So that's why it's my Instagram is Slivan, my podcast King Slivan, my YouTube channel is Slivan.tv. It all kind of goes hand in hand, and that's just kind of how it is. Don't ever look at if you have a fake name as just a fake name. No, it's you. And this is the part that bothered me so much when I first got into porn, where people are like, oh, this is just your fake name, it's just porn. Motherfucker, no. This is your livelihood. This is an extension of you. This is you. And the name might be different, but it's still you. And people are going to judge you by your content, by reputation, by the way you treat others. And some people just don't get it. They think they could just walk away from it. But those people that think they could walk away from it, they're dragging that part of themselves into their regular life. If you're a piece of shit on set, if you're a piece of shit in so many ways in your business life, you're a piece of shit at home. You're not turning it on and off. This is the one fight. This is the last thing I'm saying. I'm like, fucking out of here. But this is the fight that I would have with my ex. I'm like, you partying here and doing drugs here, when you go back up to the East Coast to your family, you think that's just going to stop cold turkey? No. You're dragging all that bullshit and all that garbage. Even maybe it's less of a garbage bag. You're still dragging that garbage along with you to the other side. So do your shit right here, because that will just go across the whole spectrum of your whole life. You can't just, well, I'm going to do it like this here. They got all these directors that are scumbags in porn. You think they're not scumbags in their regular life with their wives or their families? No, they're fucking scumbags all the way around. You just don't turn it on because you get into the industry and you're like, well, I don't fucking respect women here, so I won't respect them here, but I'll respect women outside. Bullshit. I've seen it way too many times where guys in the industry who are disrespectful to women on set, all of a sudden you see them in the regular life, and they're similar, maybe on the smaller scale, but they're still the same way. No, do shit the right way, and you're not gonna have to worry about. It's kind of like, you know, people that use racial slurs with their friends. That shit's gonna slip up, which they shouldn't be, but that shit's gonna slip up in public one day because you're already too comfortable doing that. So don't fucking do it. Period. Anyways, I'm done with this branding podcast. I hope there's something in there that people can take away from it. This has just been my experience and how I feel about branding, and that's about it. I don't think there's much else to say. If you liked it, please leave me a comment or message me. I would love to hear feedback and if it helped or not. This was obviously going to go on YouTube, on Slivan.tv, and it's on iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes. You could subscribe to it on any of those, or just obviously at kingslivan.com. But please spread the word. I'm going to try to do some cool interviews with more talent. I have a bunch of podcasts that I still have to post. I have one with my brother about our XPW experience. I have one part one of my Extreme Associates experience. Still have one with Rocky Emerson. Oh my gosh, I have one with Christy Maxdale. I have one about horrible things that happened on set. And I'll be doing more. So I just need to get back in the groove of doing it. But I hope this podcast helps some people in some ways and shed some light on my experience of building a brand and what I do. And that's about it. I appreciate you listening, and please share with people in your life.
Yeah, pussy in your face with style and grace. A wreck where he direct got flair and taste. Holds no drop crowd when he in the mix. In a throwback jersey and custom kicks. Home to man respect, cause respect he get. Scorsese with some motherfucking ass and tits. Now what's his name? I am Slivan.com. Got brunettes and blondes that'll lick your shit from dusk to dawn. Turn your magic stick to the magic wand. When the camera's on, he's about his craft. With a roadside killer, got an evil laugh. And the killer clowns call they want their mannequin back. Step up in his office, catch a panic attack. From all flicks to thrillers, the bitches ready you willing. When they light the marquee, whose name's top villain? Cause I am what I am, do what I do, done what I've done. I am Slivan.com. Cause he is what he is, you are what you are. You live how you live, just thinking that's how it is. Cause I am what I am, do what I do, done what I've done. I am Slivan.com. Cause he is how he is, you are how you are. You live how you live, just thinking that's how it is. Or drive to ABN, take a flight first class. Cause we mile high clubbing with a piece of ass. Filming every minute, this is off the chain. Here with Samuel L, got my snake on planes. What's his name? I am Slivan.com. Film your sis and moms. Roll the Tahoe, let the system hit. Catch a glance of an icon through window tints. And a violent came up, this cat you gotta hold. Got your hand on a motherfucking piece of gold. When the camera roll, talk total control. Holes a asshole shown fully exposed. Make 'em hit the flow, ass cocked and pose. Rock and roll, film locked and load. Cutting edge and different, gifted and analytic. Destined to change the game, he's his own worst critic. Cause I am what I am, do what I do, done what I've done. I am Slivan.com. Cause he is what he is, you are what you are. You live how you live, just thinking that's how it is. Cause I am what I am, do what I do, done what I've done. I am Slivan.com. Cause he is how he is, you are how you are. You live how you live, just thinking that's how it is. You got it, you want it, you need it. I am Slivan. You love it, you want it, believe it. I am Slivan.com. You got it, you want it, you need it. I am Slivan. You love it, you want it, believe it. I am Slivan.com. Cause I am what I am, do what I do, done what I've done. I am Slivan.com. Cause he is what he is, you are what you are. You live how you live, just thinking that's how it is. Cause I am what I am, do what I do, done what I've done. I am Slivan.com. Cause he is how he is, you are how you are. You live how you live, just thinking that's how it is.